Hey, yo, so I was just having a conversation with one of my mentees, right? And so, hold on, pause. First of all, for y'all that don't know, I'm wise counsel to a lot of people. I pretty much help people navigate through life, make wiser decisions, and stay out of trouble. You feel me? And so, basically, I was just having a conversation, and they was just like, man, you always dropping so much game on me, especially like in the area of relationships. Where do you get all your game from? Like, who was your teacher? And you know what I told them? Life. I was like, man, to be honest with you, I didn't have a me. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of my gems come from lived experiences and situations that I've had to navigate on my own. And so that's how I'm able to just give so much game in different places. And so they had asked me, have you ever fumbled like in a relationship? And I was like, man. And so I was like, all right, let me talk about it. And so I was like, I'm going to talk about it with y'all. So, it's a good story and it's also some really good gems. So here it is.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year. Yeah. I really feel it's my time. Think it's my year.
So to answer the question, have I ever fumbled a relationship? Yes. Okay, so boom, I'm gonna give y'all a little backstory, right? So this particular relationship really came at a time in my life where I was experiencing overflow. I'm talking about I was just walking into so much fruit, man. I had just scored an opportunity where I had created me a job with this company. I created the job, I created the salary. Like they literally greenlit the whole situation. And so then probably 2 or 3 months go by and then boom, I meet this girl and it was just up from there. And when I tell y'all, the relationship happened so freaking fast, man. It really slipped out of my hands because I was experiencing so much in such a short amount of time, but I didn't have anybody to actually speak with this stuff about. And let me tell you something. I was basically trying to move forward, but also bring my past with me. You know what I'm saying? Like I still had baggage from my past, and I didn't know how to navigate through it. And so I was just in a tough spot. And so literally, man, the relationship just really started to crumble. I started lying to her because I was trying to be loyal to somebody else. It was like my intentions were good. And then it's like, if you ever think about how lies work, right? It becomes a web. And so it also amplifies different things that shouldn't be amplified, right? And so insecurity started coming out. I was already dealing with imposter syndrome just because of the opportunity that I had was so dope and so massive. And I was just like, man, can I really do this? Do I really deserve this? And I actually started feeling the same way with the relationship because I was experiencing I'm always the type of person in the relationship where, I'm planning all the dates. I'm pushing you to be better. I'm helping take you to the next level. I'm helping you grow this, that, and the third. And so I had never had that before. I had never had me a me. And I always used to say, man, I need me a me. I need me a me. So for a long time, I had felt stuck, And so, man, literally just in this relationship, I had ran into a me. And that was so crazy. And it was just, y'all, when I tell y'all I was in awe, I'm talking about I had started kicking my feet up, and that's one thing that I'll say. When you start finally receiving, the saying, you get what you put out. It doesn't always feel like that. And so when you get to a point where you're actually receiving the type of experience that you deserve, it's important that you know how to handle it. And this is why self-love is really important, and having boundaries and understanding your worth and your value. Because truth be told, if you are in a situation where you're not experiencing what you want to experience or what you feel like you should be experiencing, and y'all aren't building towards that, then that's a situation that you ultimately gonna have to let go, And so I didn't know that though. When it came to relationships for me, it hasn't been too many people that I can actually go to and talk to, because I'm on a different journey than most people that I know. And so I would find myself, in these connections where I had to learn that just because somebody like you, that don't mean that you have to date them. And I know that sounds crazy. Like, why would you have to learn that? I literally come from a family of Max. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never saw a situation where somebody is actually choosing somebody because they actually they see life with that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen a lot of situations where it's just like, oh, okay, boom, this person like me, so I'm going to go after, I'm going to give them a chance. Like, I come from a blended family, right? And so I'm used to seeing the exes still coming around the family, showing up at family functions, stuff like that. Like, that's always been my life, And so even when me and my ex-wife got divorced, we were still around each other. We still interacted with each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just always a thing. And so I never saw that anything was wrong with it, especially when, you might not have feelings for that person, but that person still may have some feelings for you. But it's like, but you can only control you. So you making sure ain't nothing extra going on. You know what I'm saying? And so literally that's what kind of happened with, the relationship that I fumbled, where it's like, that's what I mean by, like, I was trying to bring my past into my present. And, my ex wasn't having that. She's had a lot of experiences where that don't work. And so I was trying to show her that it could work. And it didn't work, if I could be honest with you. And that was because, it was forcing me to lie about some things that, I wasn't thinking nothing of, because I had already told the person, yeah, I'm not going to mention XYZ, like, I got you. It was a sensitive situation that Shorty didn't want me to speak on. And so, I had agreed not to speak on it, And so when the girl that I fumbled asked me about it, I lied to her about it. You know what I'm saying? And I kept lying to her about it. And it literally, I'm telling you, that door of lies, that door, once it got open, it just got deep. Say I wasn't moving wrong, but the mature and wiser version of me now is able to look back on that situation and see, man, I should have deaded that situation, from the very beginning. By the time me and Shorty ever would have met, that situation should have already been wrapped up and cut off and done with. You know what I'm saying? But it took me a while to get to this point where I can actually say that today. But it's like I've really had to sit and, really think about the consequences of my actions, and when I say the consequences of my actions, just like, when you don't cut off things when they need to be cut off, you're giving it the potential to grow and fester in your life in a way that will contribute to the demise of something else that could be great and good for you, But for me, I'm not going to lie, I used to have a hard time cutting people off, I used to have a hard time letting go, especially there's been times where I feel like I've been under assignment. And it's like, I couldn't even tell my girl at the time, hey, I feel like I'm still supposed to be in this person's life, not to, be doing anything extra with them. But, I just feel like I'm still supposed to be here in some type of capacity. Will you just pause and work with me? I didn't have a language for that a few years ago. And not saying that everybody is going to be understanding, because they don't understand it, right? But, it's one of those things. And this is why, it's important for those of y'all that's listening. If you feel like you have been called to certain people or assigned to certain people in a specific season, I pray that you get in community and you have wise counsel and you have somebody that you can go to and talk to about this, so that you're not carrying this weight and this pressure on your own, because it will begin to kind of carry you versus you carrying it. You know what I'm saying? And so there was times where, I made certain decisions and, I never meant to fumble that relationship or that experience. And so, I live with it. You know what I mean? Like, I learn from it, I grow from it, and I'm not going to front and act like I don't still think about, dang, what if I didn't do this, or what if I didn't do that? Like, of course I think about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I've even reached out a couple times, just apologizing. Like, I've been apologizing since the situation happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been sincere from the beginning. And so there's still like pieces of me that feels like, dang, man, like, I feel like that situation ended too soon for me to actually see what it could have blossomed like to be, My ex do not budge. You feel me? And I'm like, yo, shout out to her, because, she felt like, yo, you disrespected me. You mistreated me. You played in my face. You played with my heart. You understand what I'm saying? Like, no, I don't want anything to do with you. And I respect all of that. You know what I'm saying? I can't take away her experience at the end of the day, regardless of what my intentions were or weren't. And for anybody that's listening right now who needs to apologize, but pride has been stopping you, I lead by example right now. To my ex, I truly apologize to you from the bottom of my heart. I'm sorry that you had to walk through that season with me. I'm sorry that I wasn't wise enough in that season. I'm sorry that I fumbled your heart. I'm sorry that I was not prepared in a way that I wish I would have been or could have been. That's on me. You know what I'm saying? I take accountability for just everything, everywhere I messed up. You know what I mean? I pray that you forgive. And I pray that you're not walking around with a hole in your heart and feeling like, I don't want to experience love anymore. I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that. Like, whatever you carrying, give it to God. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been so many things that I've had to give to God, especially like specifically about that situation. And that's what has always prompted me to reach out and speak and, try to make the situation right. We never want to be the villain in somebody's story, and so we try to change the narrative, or we try to, in a way, talk people out of their experience. And it's just like, yo, at the end of the day, their experience is their experience. And no, you can't change it, but you can learn from it and grow from it, and so, and that's why, like, for me, I just wish I could start fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially like with who I am today. But it's like, you know what? I had to experience that, because when we in the valley, right? Nobody teaches us what it's like to, look at different fruit and figure out what that is outside of money, right? Another thing that a lot of people don't teach us is how to maintain, like, thriving. You know what I'm saying? Like, how to continue to thrive and even grow in that space and steward over that space. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't talk about that enough. And I feel like through my journey and through my experience, that's what I'm going to do. As y'all continue to see me thrive and continue to see me elevate in life, I'm not just going to give you the game on surviving. I'm going to give you the game on thriving. And this is why I do my mentorships. I talk to so many people. I drop gems all the time, because it's like, I want to be able to use my experiences. I want to be able to use my life as an example and be like, yo, these are the things that I learned. I grew up in the 90s, so, there's been a lot of times where I have felt like, dang, I wish, some OGs would have came and talked to me. You know what I'm saying? I wish some aunties and uncles would have came and talked to me about some stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's like nobody was giving us the game like that because they was still figuring out life. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm really grateful to be in the position that I am right now, where, I'm in my mid 30s and I'm able to give the younger generation behind me so much game. I'm able to give a lot of different generations game just because I'm a walking testimony, man. You know what I mean? Like I done took I don't even say L's, you know what I mean? Like I done learned a lot of lessons, and I'm a firm believer that, everything that is for me will always find its way to me. You know what I'm saying? And so life is truly like an ongoing lesson. You should be going and growing every single day. You know what I mean? Like you might not necessarily learn a lesson every single day, but I'm just saying being open-minded to understanding that you are constantly evolving as an individual, And so, of course, there's going to be mistakes and trial and error along the way. And you're going to be sitting back sometimes looking on life like, dang, man, I wish I would have made a better decision. I wish I would have did this or did that or didn't do this or didn't do that, But it's like you live and you learn, And sometimes people going to walk out your life, they're not going to want to sit and build with you and grow with you. And even though you might want them, you might think that that's your person, you might want to build with them. Shoot, they've had their own life experiences that they navigating through too. You know what I mean? And so, it's just always beautiful when we can all just pause and just, understand that we all trying to figure it out. And now I'm not saying, sit with somebody and go through any and everything. Nah, you got to know that that's your person. You feel me? And I feel like the way that if that's your person, you got to see what your soul say. Because the thing about life is going to come with good days and bad days. The relationship is going to come with good days and bad days. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be forever learning your person. Your person going to be forever evolving, and so are you. Y'all are always going to be learning each other and growing. And so it's really get to a point where you got to figure out is this the person that I can grow with? Is this the person that I can build with? You know what I'm saying? And you can't do that with everybody. But sometimes we be trying to force that on everybody. That's why I say you got to see what your soul say. One thing that my homeboy said recently, man, I thought it was really dope and really powerful. He was like, yo, in order to have a healthy relationship, we got to be healthy as individuals. And I was like, bro, that's so powerful to me, because one of the things that I've always desired in my life is to have a healthy relationship. Like when I talk about being married, I talk about wanting to be happily married and actually living like happily ever after type energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care to just say, oh, I'm married. No, I want to always be like, yeah, I'm happily married. You know what I mean? And so I've just always desired that. And so, part of what he said is just like, you got to be healthy. And it's just like, dang, man, that really pierced me, because I'm like, when we are healthy, we get to prosper, right, in every area of our life. And that's what God ultimately wants for us. He wants us to be able to prosper in health in all areas of our life. You feel what I'm saying? And it's almost going to be like copy and paste, copy and paste. And so with the idea of copy and paste, imagine who you are right now. Would you want to copy and paste that in the next area of your life? And so, you got to sit with your answer and figure out whatever that is. And if the answer is no, that's okay. You still got work that you need to do with self, as we all do, right? But yeah, man, I think it's so important to just, spend time with yourself and get to know who you are. And for those of y'all that's single, enjoy your single season. It's not about sliding into every DM. Make sure that you make time for you. You know what I'm saying? Get to know you, who you are, what are your non-negotiables, what make you the person that you are, and what do you need to operate. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, like I said, man, when we live in life and life is good, we don't get to see everything. You know, there's going to be areas that show up in the valley season that's going to show you things about yourself. And there's going to be things that show up when you in your thriving season. And you're going to see things about yourself as well that you're going to have to learn from and grow from. You know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody to think that, oh, okay, when I make it into, I'm in my thriving season, or I'm in my winning season, I'm in my sizzle season, that, oh, you know, life is just going to be all peaches and cream and I ain't gonna have to worry about nothing. Nah, every time you go on a new level, man, you need to be expecting new trials and tribulations. You feel me? Because it's all a learning experience. You know, it's a lot of people right now that's navigating through their wilderness season for the first time, and they are on the brink of like, oh my goodness, I can't take it. And it's like, yes, you can. You know, they think they failing, and it's like, nah, you're not failing. You just experiencing a different type of pressure that you ain't never walked through before. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean that you failing. That means you're moving, and you need to adjust through with life, adjust to the season that you're in. All right, that's enough gem drops and putting y'all all in my business. All right, I got some homework for y'all tonight. If you're in your thriving season right now, I want you to ask yourself this. What in me is still immature that success is exposing? All right, y'all. Y'all already know. Until next time, make wise decisions and stay out of trouble. I'm gone.